Good morning. I am Joseph Fenty, and it's my pleasure to serve as this morning's worship associate for this service of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Charlotte County, Florida. This service is being broadcast via Zoom and YouTube. I wish to express my gratitude to the technology wizards. Those supporting technology this morning are Corey, Tom, Sue, and Sharon G. I also offer a big thanks to Linda, Jim, and members of the UUFCC choir for this morning's music. I'd like to remind you of a couple of simple procedures that will help this broadcast run smoothly. To respect and protect everyone's privacy, it will be our practice to use only first names and, when helpful, last initials. During the service, the Zoom chat feature will be disabled. Please remain muted throughout the service, even when singing, but please do sing. You may wish to have a chalice or candle available for our chalice lighting ritual. At the end of the service, we will virtually gather for a social time, but we will ask you to remain muted until you see a posting that invites you to begin. Your patience is appreciated as we need a moment or two to close down the YouTube connection. The social time will be via Zoom only. We are a progressive and inclusive spiritual community. We value the free and responsible search for truth and meaning and offer a caring and diverse religious community guided by reason, conscience, and compassion. We encourage intellectual inquiry, foster growth, and prompt social justice and environmental responsibility. Our welcome is genuine. The lighting of the chalice is a ritual that unites Unitarian Universalists everywhere. It is a symbol of so many of our values: love, guidance, courage, sacrifice, illumination, passion, and the light of community. No single interpretation is sacrosanct over the others. Like our faith, they are all-inclusive and accepted. This morning's chalice lighting words are from Gary Kowalski. With faith to challenge our challenges, with hope that casts out fears, with hope to trust tomorrow, we accept this day for the gift that it is, a reason for rejoicing. As Tiffany lights the chalice here in the sanctuary, please join me in the recitation of our affirmation. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our aspiration to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. I invite you to light your home chalices and candles. Our first hymn is For the Beauty of the Earth. Again, please sing, but remain muted. This morning's opening words are from a poem by Mark Ward. In the first glimmers of morning, the world begins to take shape. First, vague outlines, patterns of light and dark, and colors dawn branches of trees and withered winter grass. The brightening sky bathes a familiar landscape with a glow as it sleepily reveals itself. Blessed morning. Oh, to have another day, to wake from whatever night thoughts dwell within, to rise and to have the world unfold before us, where possible unwinds into actual, where dreams await their fulfilling, where we meet once again to live in the hope that gathers us. Blessed morning. We have a long tradition at the UUFCC of sharing our joys and sorrows and life milestones by entering them into the book of life. Because of this pandemic, we have modified this tradition. You may email your joys and sorrows and personal milestones to the Book of Life at uufcc.org. Messages should be sent no later than Saturday prior to the service. The joys and sorrows and milestones I have received today include from Helen Salkowski, from the Caring Committee. She reports that Rosemary Hagan is home from the hospital and is improving each day. She is having friends drop by to visit, and she would like cards sent to her home. We have wished her a speedy recovery. Today I have a joy. Today I recognize and celebrate the lives of two individuals that made major scientific discoveries and have led to the improvement in the lives of people all over the planet. The first is Marie Curie. She was born in Poland on November 7th, 1867. Today is November 7th. And according to Wikipedia, Madame Curie was a Polish and naturalized French physicist and chemist who conducted pioneering research on radioactivity. She was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize twice and the only person to win the Nobel Prize in two scientific fields. Under her direction, the first studies were conducted into the treatment of neoplasm by the use of radioactive isotopes. She founded the Curie Institute in Paris, and in 1932, the Curie Institute in Warsaw. Both remain major centers of medical research. The second person I'd like to recognize is Carl Sagan, one of my personal heroes. He was born in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn on November 9th, 1934. Carl was an American astronomer, planetary science cosmologist, astrophysicist, astrobiologist, author, and science communicator. Carl published some 600 scientific papers and articles. I credit his Cosmos series with boosting my scientific curiosity and reorienting my mind towards empirical research. I take joy in these two individuals who have improved the lives of so many. This morning, we recognize the joys and concerns in our heart. May we hold these and others in love and tenderness so that this fellowship may be the source of strength and comfort, courage and hope in these days and weeks ahead. Let us enter a time of silent prayer or meditation. We will be called back from our silence with the musical prayer, Spirit of Life. This morning's reflections will be presented by Dennis Shaw, member of the worship committee and grounds crew. He has entitled his thoughts, "The Gift of Gratitude."
I live less than a mile north, just off Forrest Nelson Boulevard, in a community of small cottages with little yards. I bought my house over 7 years ago and consider it the best investment of my life. The community was developed in the 1980s, and the majority of the original owners were snowbirds, people that had the resources to winter here and summer in cooler climates. Over the past 4 decades, the demographics of my community has changed significantly. Now a minority are snowbirds. The majority of the residents are year-round retirees, and a growing number of young families, people of color, and folks of different social and economic groups with varied political views. We are both owners and renters, and I'm happy to say that many of these folks have become my friends. As I said, my house is small, less than 900 square feet under air, which is more than enough room for my 9-pound canine companion, Bosco, and me, and an occasional guest or two. However, in addition to the inside space, my cottage features a 300 square foot screened lanai and an adjacent 200 square foot rectangular patio surrounded by a native garden, which provides complete visual privacy. The southern exposure of these exterior spaces allow for panoramic views of the sky from sunrise to sunset. So when the weather cooperates, I can have and comfortably have had parties with up to 20 guests. During this past summer, As the majority of my friends became vaccinated for COVID-19, I battled my sense of isolation by imagining fall and holiday gatherings that would occur during the cooler and drier seasons. Clearly, I had adequate exterior space and the desire to enjoy the company of my many friends that the pandemic had relegated to the world of Zoom. Then the fly flew into the ointment. My next door neighbor's air conditioning system died. The owner of the house, who lives in another city, immediately replaced the system with a unit that is obviously too small for the house. The new unit runs much more than it rests, significantly increasing my neighbor's electricity bill and filling my lanai sanctuary and entertaining space with obnoxious noise pollution, totally detrimental to meditation and conversation. I was furious. After months of complaining and criticizing the neighbor's landlord, who I've never met, I started to search for remedies that would at least diminish the racket. However, the majority of the solutions were designed for industrial sites, were way too expensive, and required permission from the owner, which I doubted I would get. Finally, in desperation, I made a visit to my local hardware store. There, I met a friendly woman who listened to my plight and suggested that I surround the offending compressor with styrofoam, being sure to leave adequate room for ventilation. Immediately, I imagined a styrofoam cage surrounding the offending little beast. I remembered that I had left over thick PVC pipe from a trellis project that would provide perfect upright support. I rushed home, asked my neighbor to bless the project, which would be hidden behind a shed and a hedge of coral honeysuckle vine. Then I measured the unit and returned to the store and purchased a 4 by 8 foot sheet of styrofoam insulation for a mere $20. In my haste and excitement, I didn't consider how I was going to fit the sheet into my subcompact Mazda hatchback. So there I stood in a vast parking lot on a breezy late October morning, scratching my head. As I held the large but light rectangle on the roof of my car, a middle-aged woman with long black hair streaked with gray pulled in next to me in an older Chrysler minivan. "That's not going to work," she said, as she walked over to survey the situation. It was clear that she was right and that I needed to return it. I'm sure she wasn't expecting my long story of woe, but she listened carefully and then replied, "So you don't need to transport the styrofoam in one piece. You need panels." As I nodded yes, she asked if I knew the size of the compressor. I did. Without hesitation, she opened the rear of her van, selected a straight edge, tape measure, a very sharp box cutter, and a black permanent marker. And within 5 minutes, she had cut 3 perfectly sized panels that slipped into my hatch with inches to spare. Then she asked me how I intended to support the structure. I told her about the PVC pipe, and she nodded her approval and suggested I cut the ends I intended to bury at a diagonal for ease of penetration. Then she asked how I planned to secure the panels to the uprights. I responded with my solution to all construction problems: duct tape. "Not strong enough or weatherproof," she replied, and then accompanied me into the store and pointed out a very wide, extremely strong roll of weatherproof tape. Then I offended her by asking if I could pay her for her time, advice, and effort After all, it was perfectly clear that she was a professional handywoman. Her response was immediate and firm. You have already thanked me a dozen times. Being able to help you makes me feel good. Your gratitude is more than adequate payment. And remember, that noisy little compressor is keeping your neighbors cool in the summer and warm in the winter. As she walked away to make her purchases, I realized that I didn't even know her name. During the 3 hours it took to build my little styrofoam fort, I thought nonstop about the lady that had helped me and the nature of giving and gratitude. Several days later, while sitting in a slightly quieter lanai, I conducted an extensive search to discover the nature and benefits of gratitude, and the following is what I found. First, I discovered that the definitions for gratitude in an online article offered by Psychology Today. I found the following. Gratitude is the expression of appreciation for what one has. It is a recognition of value, independent of monetary worth. The word gratitude is derived from the Latin word gratia, which means grace, graciousness, or gratefulness. The article continued by stating that this social emotion is rooted deep in evolutionary history, emanating from the survival value of helping others and being helped in return. Gratitude is an emotion that generates a climate of positivity that is internalized and extends outward. Gratitude is also a mood as well as a personality trait. I'm sure we all know folks who seem inclined to live gratitude and express it in most aspects of their daily lives. So, gratitude is a temporary feeling and a dispositional trait. In both cases, gratitude involves a process of recognizing that one has obtained a positive outcome and there is an external source for that blessing. Of course, what is considered a blessing varies greatly. What one considers a blessing, another will perceive as a curse. For example, as a gardener, I welcome the frequent rainy days, while a friend who is a beach lover is disappointed and angered by frequent showers. Through gratitude, people acknowledge the goodness in their lives. There are numerous psychological studies that show a strong correlation between the expression of gratitude and greater happiness. Gratitude helps people feel more positive emotions, relish good experiences, improve their health, deal with adversity, and build strong relationships. In an article from Harvard Health Publishing, which is affiliated with the Harvard School of Medicine, I discovered that two psychologists, Dr. Robert E. Emmons of the University of California, Davis, and Dr. Michael E. McCullough from the University of Miami, have done extensive research on gratitude. One of these studies divided a large group of adults into three groups. Group one wrote about things that they were grateful for over a period of 10 weeks. Members of group two were asked to write for 10 weeks about daily irritations or things that displeased them. The third group wrote about things that had occurred during a 10-week period with no emphasis on positive or negative feelings. After 10 weeks, those who had wrote about gratitude were more optimistic and felt better about their lives. Surprisingly, this group also exercised more, had fewer visits to physicians, and the group that wrote about the negative things in their lives. Another leading research in this field is Dr. Martin E.P. Seligman. He's a psychologist at the University of Pennsylvania, and he tested the impact of acts of expressing gratitude with 822 people. Among other interventions, all the participants were asked to write about their early memories for a period of a week. Then half of the subjects were asked to write a letter of gratitude to someone in their past who had never been properly thanked for his or her kindnesses. The folks that wrote the thank you letters immediately experienced huge increases on their happiness scores. The impact generated by expressing their gratitude was greater than any other intervention, with benefits lasting for months. Other studies have looked at how being grateful can improve relationships. A study of couples who took time to express gratitude for their partner found that not only did the individuals feel more positive toward the other person, but also felt more comfortable expressing concerns about their relationships. Managers who remember to say thank you to the people who work for them find that employees are much more motivated to work harder. Research at the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania randomly divided university fundraisers into two groups. One group made phone calls to solicit alumni donations in the same way they always did. The second group, assigned to work on a separate day, received a pep talk from the director of annual giving before they started to work. The director clearly told the callers how grateful she was for their efforts. The second group made 50% more calls than did the group that did not receive the director's thanks. Researchers have also discovered that the brain scans of people assigned a task that stimulates gratitude show lasting changes in the prefrontal cortex of the brain and heighten future experiences of gratitude. Numerous studies have concluded that feeling grateful boosts happiness and fosters both physical and psychological health, even among those who are already struggling with mental health problems. Additionally, gratitude curbs the use of negative words, expressing negative emotions, and shifts inner attention away from such negative emotions as resentment, envy, and decreasing the possibility of ruminating, which is a hallmark of depression. People who are grateful feel less pain, less stress, experience fewer bouts of insomnia, have healthier relationships, and do better academically and professionally. Of course, studies like these cannot prove cause and effect, but all the studies I reviewed in preparation for this morning's presentation clearly support an association between gratitude and an individual's well-being. People feel and express gratitude in multiple ways. They can remember the past, retrieving positive memories and being thankful for elements of childhood or past blessings. The present, not taking good fortune for granted as it occurs. And the future, maintaining a hopeful and optimistic attitude. Regardless of the current level of someone's gratitude, it's a quality that individuals can successfully cultivate. Here are some of the ways that I discovered that people can cultivate gratitude. Write a thank you letter or email expressing your enjoyment and appreciation of an individual that has a positive impact on your life. Send it, or better yet, hand deliver the note and, if possible, read it to that person. Make a habit of writing these notes of gratitude, and once in a while, write a thank you letter to yourself. Another way is some folks say thank you mentally. This exercise does not express gratitude to another, but it will make you aware that you are a recipient of care and you are valued. I often think about thanking friends and family members for amazing gifts and kindnesses that they have bestowed on my life. Frequently, these people are no longer living. Another way is by keeping a gratitude journal. I do this daily. I list at least 3 experiences or people which I'm grateful for. This habit only takes a few moments to complete, but I find that it creates a positive state from which to launch my day. I also include with my entries one project or goal which I intend to accomplish that day, and a goal for the next day too. Additionally, I rate my sense of well-being on a scale of 1 to 10. Since I began this daily exercise, I feel happier, and I'm frequently amazed at how motivated I am. Both prayer and meditation are correlated with experiencing higher levels of gratitude. To simply create a ritual of giving thanks or to remain still and silent, but feel the warmth of the sun or be awed by surrounding gifts of nature instills a sense of well-being and increases happiness. Most mornings, Bosco, my dog, and I take what I call sensory-based awe walks. I pay deliberate attention to the world around me and choose to savor it. Bosco appears to do this naturally. These walks are guided by a desire to be present and clearly see, hear, and feel. I am mindful to greet each person I come in contact with positive words and a smile. I always return from these walks around the perimeter of our neighborhood with a deepened sense of gratitude and even self-worth. On occasion, when no one is watching, I dance or sing or even draw or paint my gratitude. For me, listening to music, especially well-performed live music, inevitably generates a sense of thankfulness. Counting one's blessings, mentally or in writing, can stimulate gratitude, especially when this act becomes routine. Now, I don't want you to think of me as a Pollyanna, or that I'm preaching that cultivating gratitude means that we ignore or deny the negatives we all experience. Life is not just a bowl of cherries. Life is full of pain, hate, sadness, grief, disappointments, loneliness, anger, and physical suffering. But too often, the negatives in our lives overshadow the good and dominate how we perceive and respond. Cultivating gratitude is a means to find a balance and generate the emotional strength to experience life more fully and generate the faith and strength to recognize and experience the abundant goodness that surrounds and embraces us all. I will close by expressing my deep felt gratitude for our Unitarian Universalist faith and this beloved UUFCC community. Despite the disappointments, conflicts, and isolation we've experienced over the last year and a half. This community continues to serve as my anchor and a primary source of grace. Even during the pandemic, I experienced a great sense of enjoyment and belonging as I worked with my comrades on the beautiful grounds. I found great satisfaction participating on the worship committee and am frequently amazed at the talent, intelligence, problem-solving skills, and creativity that flows through this group, even though we are meeting virtually. I am consistently challenged, encouraged, informed, and intellectually and spiritually inspired by our Sunday morning services. I am proud of the strong emphasis this community places on learning about working for social justice. I feel gratitude when I consider the contributions of the Care and Hospitality Committee as they reach out and care for our members and friends in times of need. I'm delighted with the emphasis our fellowship places on values of music and art. At the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Charlotte County, there is so much to be grateful for. During this month, take the time to cultivate more intentional internal and outward expressions of gratitude. It's good for you, as well as the recipients of your Thanksgiving. Perhaps sharing things and people you are grateful for would be a good topic for our after-service gathering on Zoom. And it perhaps will inspire you to begin to continue cultivating gratitude in your daily lives. I will close with this quote by Meister Eckhart. If the only prayer you ever say in your entire life is thank you, it will be enough. May it be so.
Thank you, Dennis. I am grateful for your sermon and your presence here in our community. In our tradition, congregations exist because of the generous support of members and friends. It is our privilege and our responsibility to ensure the health and future of the fellowship. To this end, your offerings to support the ministry of this fellowship, whether by pledge or donation, may be offered online. There are several ways you can give. You can mail checks to the office, drop them in our mailbox, or call the office to make other arrangements. We are also equipped to accept donations through the Venmo app. Payments through this app should be made to UUFCC offering. If you would like your donation to apply to anything other than the operating fund, like our second helping, for example, please indicate your intentions in the checks memo line. Our second helping supports the Harry Chapin Food Bank and 2 local food pantries, Chaps and Meals on Wheels. Your generosity is always appreciated. If you are with us for the first time, do not feel obligated to give. Today, you are our guests. Now it's time to highlight UUFCC's special events and activities. Please remember to religiously read your weekly copy of the updates, which includes a calendar and links for connecting via Zoom. The updates provide a very important means for staying connected during these challenging times. Additionally, if you would like to have the fellowship events highlighted during the service, you can email the worship associates at bookoflife@uufcc.org. Today, I have the following announcements. The board announced that there will be a soft reopening of in-person worship services on November 28th, Thanksgiving weekend. For those attending online, the service will continue to stream live on YouTube. The November edition of the newsletter is now online. It features a number of articles. Alan Cyril writes about COVID-19 and climate change. Tom Dooley keeps us up to date on UFOs. Sharon Whitehill writes about her beekeeper. Nancy Weaver takes us into space. Laura Anderson debuts in The Light Touch, and Marna Chari tells us about life, asks us to join her behind the lens. She's a photographer. This is a really good newsletter, and I hope one day to write an article for it. Again, do not forget to read your weekly copy of the updates. You'll be glad you did. Mary Jane's musings are entertaining, and you will find out how active we are despite the pandemic. The closing words are entitled, "We Lift Up Our Hearts in Thanks" by Richard Fuchs. For the sun and the dawn, which we did not create, for the moon and the evening, which we did not make, for the food which we plant but cannot grow, for friends and loved ones we have not earned and cannot buy, for this gathering company which welcomes us as we are, from wherever we may come, for all our free churches that keep us human and encourage us in our quest for beauty, truth, and love, for all things which come to us as gifts of being from sources beyond ourselves, gifts of life and love and friendship, we lift our hearts in thanks this day. And now please join me in our traditional recitation as Tiffany extinguishes the chalice. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of hope, the fire of commitment, or the warmth of community. May these ideals shine in our lives and warm our hearts until we are together again. Go now in peace. Following the musical benediction, Go Now in Peace, those who would like are invited to stay for our social time. We'll let you know as soon as the technology is ready for conversation.
For all that is our lives, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use, to build the common good, and make our own days glad. For these which harvest serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours and hurts, we come with praise and we are all to use to build the common good. And may our always dwell. Go now in peace.